They tell me your booty is fat. They want to know how you keep it in check. You know?
I'm also like, okay, Nadia, Gigi.
It's essence, it's expression. Yeah.
Gigi, you got 24 hours to respond. The matriarch is in the building.
Hello and welcome to PENNYONN, and today I am surrendering myself to two
Keep the panties on.
Impeachable. We are not going to be presidents. She just said be impeachable.
Hello and welcome to PENNYONN. Today I am surrendering myself to two people to have their way with me in conversation. So, if you're seeing this for the first time, it simply means that you've heard that I'm dropping a podcast. It's called PENNYONN, where I'm going to be on a lot of things, okay? You know, I've been on radio, on television, on newspapers, on magazines, on life, on gender-based violence, on anything that you can think of. Actually, I'm the P in pop culture. I make it pop. Hello,
I thought you
Thelma.
were going to say I'm the P on the...
Ness.
This is Thelma. She is the loudmouth.
Yo.
This is Garth Brown.
So Penny
Respect.
said she's handed over and then still continues to talk. So essentially you're not the host.
Well, I am the host, but I'm hosting you guys because, you know, you guys are going to give people an insight into who I am. You can ask me anything on behalf of the people.
Anything. Also, when we say people, are we talking
Anything.
about Facebook,
The
Twitter?
entire thing. You can
Everybody,
go Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, newspapers, the streets, the clubs, whatever.
Okay, let's start it off nice.
Okay, let's start. You're the nice one, so
I'll play the good
I'll
cop.
be the bad cop.
Okay. So, in breaking news this afternoon, Penny, who is on her podcast, we're hijacking this.
Penny, you know what? You're talking about being like on almost everything.
Okay,
right?
no, for real. 20
I'm
years
for real
in the
now.
industry, though.
20 years in the industry, and you really have been on.
It's actually
Everything.
more.
Hey, 20 plus.
Okay, that's cool.
10 years and more.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, is that better for you?
It's all right. You can say almost 30.
Almost 30. When did
So-
you start? If it's almost 30.
This is my chat.
So I got into this thing at 17, just playing around because I thought, you know, I could get on community radio and all of that stuff when they first issued the community licenses. And this is, I think, before we went to the first national elections in 1994.
Damn. Do you know how
That's
old I
an
was in
age. That's
1994?
an age reveal.
It is an age reveal.
Yeah.
Okay, so you started then, but was there anything like, I'm just curious to know, like for me, the thing that made me go into media is obviously watching movies with my dad.
Yeah.
What was it in your childhood that sort of was like, sparked that interest in like, because why, I mean, you were born in basically 1900.
No, I was
I
born
would
in
expect you to want to be a
1976.
nurse.
The one
You
most
know?
important year in this nation. I was born in 1976 at the end
That's
of 1976.
uprising.
Yeah, in December.
That's why she's
That's
so
the year of the
volatile. She's
uprising.
ready
It
to strangle
explains your
me.
energy.
Yeah, so my
You're
mother
so
was-
like fury and fiery.
So my mother was pregnant with me the entire year of 1976.
She was giving Tupac.
So she fell pregnant in Easter, and I was born in December. And that period is
On
a powerful
Christmas
spiritual
Day.
energy. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah.
And you were born on Christmas Day.
Of course I was
Do
born.
you ever did you ever feel like your birthday, were you ever celebrated? Because like,
No.
do you choose Penny or Christ? That's how.
Penny or Christ?
What a comparison.
Is Penny getting you into heaven?
But you know what I mean? Like,
Okay,
it's such
cool.
a.
So the biggest birthday I had was my parents threw me my 10th birthday in Bushbuck Ridge, and then I threw myself my 21st birthday in Pimville. I was already working on radio at the time, so I threw this party for myself. I had ammunition performing at my birthday with Wicker. What's up? Okay.
Are those the perks
I
of
think they're
being...
too young. Are you gonna explain to the kids?
You don't know who ammunition
No,
is?
I know who ammunition is.
Well,
He's one of my favorites.
Kids, go do your Google search and respect your elders.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
So are these the perks of... Because you were the first female to host a hip-hop show on radio, right?
Or touch.
Or top 20, 30...
Or a radio show, a
hip-hop radio show.
So I conceptualized the hip hop show for Metro FM because I had already been part of like supporting a hip hop show at Voice of Soweto, a rap activity jam with my friend then Zach Dakile. This is before YFM even existed to even create one. So, you know, and we used to go to Lead Club. Yeah, I'm a Wicked. All of those people were my boys. They're like the original, you know, hip hop heads that made SA what it is. I had met Prophets of the City, Ishmael. I mean, when I lived in Youve, I even hosted Ishmael at my house when Lance was giving him a hard time from Youve one night. I think he slept on my couch.
Are you sure?
Are you sure it was on the couch?
Yeah, you know that
She
thing.
said,
Maybe
I
he was
think.
serenading, girl.
No. Sorry, he slept on my couch. I
Wanna jump?
don't
this?
do. I don't do that, man. Like you can. We'll have Ishmael on the podcast. We'll ask him.
Please invite us on that episode.
Please.
No, I will definitely invite you guys.
You obviously have like a deep entrenched history with like hip hop, right?
Yeah.
And
Kwaito.
which is like
And
technically
Afro-pop.
our rap.
It is
Yeah.
our rap.
You know?
South African culture, actually.
Yeah, pop culture.
Like, we
I
have
have.
to give you your flowers.
But also we've had our own conversations, and I just know how excited you get about it, even the way you speak. You know.
Because we were kids, guys.
And it's such a stupid question, but I'm always curious to know what the answers are to one of the most basic, and that is hip hop is.
Hip hop is life. It is life.
That's
That's what
that.
hip hop is. It's like radio is life to me. Hip hop is life to me. It's the moments, it's the highs, it's the lows, it's the great expectations, it's the deep letdowns. It is life. It flows like a river.
I think you're rapping.
I
now.
am also like,
You know,
Nadia,
it's
Gigi,
essence of expression. Yeah.
Gigi, you got 24 hours
We're
to
coming for
respond.
you.
The matriarch is in the building.
The matriarch is in the building.
How do you? So I mean, there wasn't. I'm assuming. Obviously I wasn't alive at that time. I was, but not of age. But like your exposure to hip hop
Yeah.
at the time. How did you fall in love with hip hop?
So, you know,
First track you remember listening to?
it's different listening to South African hip hop versus like international hip hop. But in terms of international hip hop, we were exposed to a lot of stuff. We were listening to everything. We were listening to reggae, dancehall. I was listening to Miriam Makeba, Salif Keita, Salignolo as much as I was listening to LL Cool J, Run DMC, Diggable Planets, Wu-Tang Clan. As much as I was listening to those things, I was also listening to Amo and Wicked and Prophets of the City and Ishmael. And I was also going to League Club, and some random kids were like rapping there. And we were wearing our check shirts and our baggy jeans and walking around to Carlton Center and back. We were cool. And I was listening to Boom Shaka as much as I was listening to Tebe, and I was listening to Lucky Dube, and I was listening to Family Factory, and I was listening to Rebecca Malopi and Yvonne Chaka Chaka and Brenda Fassi. So Stimela and Sankomota and Harari. And
I think they get the picture.
They get the picture.
The question was about hip hop.
It was. It really was.
And then it just
because
Because
that
for
just
me-
represents how multifaceted it is.
Yeah, and also for me, those music is interspaced. As much as like, when we were listening to hip hop, it was like, you guys are some more states, more Snoop Dogg. I remember seeing Snoop Dogg's video for the first time when he turned into a dog, and then he had that check shot.
Oh, yes.
And then it was like, oh my God, what is this? Do you know what I mean? Like, and TV played like a big role. And then, my girlfriends and I, we were like, when we were sexy, we were wearing those En Vogue, body hugging dresses. And then when we were street, we were doing, who are those girls who was like, Jade.
Jade.
Go. And then we had those denim jeans and those
And the
jackets,
dungarees.
and then SWV, that's who we were. But at the same time, I would go to the Carlton Center and go to Newtown to go, listen to Super Hot 6 Mabuse and watch Yuma Sekela play. So there was like a variety of experiencing pop culture.
Okay, so I mean, for anyone who wants to enter the industry, and I'm not going to say just females, I think anyone who wants to be a broadcaster, there's a Penny that they can look up to. Who was that person for you so early in?
That I looked up to.
Yeah, who was the person that was like, okay, this is where I'm headed?
So my benchmark has always been Shadowtala, because Shadowtala was she had the sexiest voice I have ever had. I tried to smoke so I could sound like her. So I read somewhere, they said she smoked camels, and I was like, let me try that. I was 18, 19 or something.
Do not do this at home.
Don't do this at home, kids. And, so I remember seeing her for the first time at the Carlton Center. She was like hosting this. So they had the center court where they used to do big events, and then she was there for Metro FM. But actually, before then, I had met Nothemba Madumo when I had entered Miss Soweto. I think I was like 14 or 15 or something like that. And she used to work for Radio Bob. So they're in that order. So Nothemba Madumo at the time was at Radio Bob. Shadowtala was on Radio Metro. And then Zandi Lenzalo was on 702. So I was like, if I can be a mix of those three girls, I will be like, I'll be like on point. So firstly, Shadow was like so passionate about like jazz and like pop culture and issues around the music scene and all of that. And I just used, and then she used to like write in like tribute magazines and like and all of them had this sassy pixie cuts.
Basically, they looked like me.
No, they didn't look like you. It was their own hair. So they all had their own hair. And then I remember she was growing dreadlocks and like had the sassy cut, and my God, and she had this raspy voice, and I'd just be like, yo, this lady. And that time she did 9 to 12, and then Zandi Lenzalo was like on 702 late night at some point, and then there was obviously like Nothemba Madumo on Radio Bob, and then a friend of mine was like a younger sister to Brenda Sisani. Yeah. Then I was like, this thing is close. because I was like at school with her. So those are the calls.
I'm curious to know.
But I love the boys too. So I used to listen to George Mayusi and Benny Gobe. Like they had this show where they're like little rascals in the morning, and I would call in, and Tish Mitaz call in and trying to send a dedication on Radio Bob, and Glenn Lewis then moved from Bob to Metro, and Bob Mabena. You know what I mean? Like,
isn't this wild that all the people you named listening to on radio, you worked with?
I got to meet with them.
That's where I was going. Like, once you met these people, like, what was that like moment like? Because there's also this whole thing where people are like, I wish I never met the person that I looked up to, and has that been the same for you,
So I was like, when I met them like as a sponge little kid. Like, I was just in awe of everyone, the fact that I get to meet them and I get to work in the same space and them. So I would just like be like, whatever it is that they did, I'm gonna like do that even better. Like Ben Dukoba gave me a name like Miss Money fucking Penny. Miss Money Penny from Money Penny.
When I met him, that's what he called me.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he called me. Yeah,
he was my programming.
Yes, at you. It's like he calls me Money Penny, and then he used to put the F to emphasize. And when I met them, obviously, like it was like my dream world becoming a reality, but I was also so conscious of like messing up. Like I was just like, I'm not going to be the one who messes up any opportunity that I get. So the pressure has always been on.
Okay, now I want to know, you had a great experience, clearly. Who did you not enjoy working with? It doesn't have to be out of those. Just in general, Jay, there's that one person who was just a thorn. You just like couldn't stand them.
She's been around the block, so...
You have been around the block.
Guys,
maybe the block has been around you.
I keep it moving, hey? I actually don't have that thing of like, I don't enjoy working with this person. I do my job, I do what needs to be done, and I get the hell out of there. Actually, Paul was saying to me the other day in Volani, Paul Mnisi was saying to me, because I worked with Paul at Voice of Soweto, I worked with Bondo Nduli at Voice of Soweto, I worked with Zekta Kile at Voice of Soweto, I worked with Leo Mane at Voice of Soweto, I worked with Tabiso Matladi, Tabiso Sikwane at Voice of Soweto, I worked with Mapaseka, I worked with Nkuli Khosisile, I worked with like Nomzamo Kumalo. There's no one that I worked with Busisi Wentuli, Zanele Lohabe. I worked with like some of the most amazing. I don't have a thing of like, I didn't enjoy work with this, but I came, I did what I need to do, I got out. So Paul was saying, people are going on that, yo guys, Penny is on something, what's going on with her? And she just doesn't care. He's like, oh, you're all waking up to that now. I care not to care, especially when it comes to my work. Like, no one can stand between my work, not my family, not my kids, not my lover, nobody. I have to do the work that I have to do. I'm like that. I don't.
So
hold
you've
no grudges.
never walked out of the studio because here was Mr. Z and you just didn't like what Mr. Z stands for? Because there's also that aspect of you where you don't mince your words and when you, for instance, let's take GBV. We know you're vocal about that mental illness and so forth. You've never worked with someone who was entangled in that stuff and you walked into studio and they were there and you said, no, I'm not going to do this.
No, I would not do that. I would actually work with everyone if that happened. That has never happened. But people assume that I would do that. I actually would not do that. If the job is at hand, I'll do that. But I'll tell you, someone who I kind of like had difficulty and it had nothing to do with the GBV stuff. I just felt like they're not showing up for me the way I'd like to. I worked with Zola, Zola 7. And I was just like, dude, listen, you're Zola 7, that's great. You're Bonkosi, awesome. We have a radio show to do. This is a radio show. We're delivering on a radio show. If you're not prepping for this show like the script says and whatever, we can't do a show together because one, I'm not going to babysit you while we're doing the show. I love him dearly, but radio is my thing. Imagine if I was performing with him and I was not showing up as a singer. Do you know what I mean? So I had to stand it.
And you respected the craft to a certain degree.
To a certain degree. And I love him dearly. And I was just like, yo, when it's the script, it's the script. Let's live on the content. Let's rock, Baba. You know, don't sidetrack. Bring it back. And that's with love. I mean, I also did stuff with him for his TV show, but when it came to radio, but it wasn't because, you know, I felt some type of way about it. It was just like, it's radio. It wasn't unjustified. Yeah, and it's because a link is a link. When we need to come out of the link, we need to come out of the link. We need to go to an ad break. We need to go on ad break. That's just how it is. It's radio. It's rhythm. It's ka 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 ka. I mean, that's that.
It is radio. What do you think of the current state of radio now that we're there?
Oh gosh, Gaff, why are you letting her take over?
I mean, I did say I'm playing good cop.
No, don't be too good.
No, because we're there at the conversation where a link is a link.
But it also makes sense, though.
We need to get out.
It does make sense. What do you think of the current state of radio?
Look, guys, Black radio has been evolving for as long as it has, and the evolution is necessary. And some of the things are necessary. I mean, I really don't think like things of like hiring people based on how much followers they have is awesome. I also don't believe in this thing of getting a pool of talent from the same station. You know, it's like, I mean, I think in Bafana right now we almost have 75% players of Sundowns.
Yeah.
I think some radio stations are like that. They have 75% from a certain station
where they all go
shop. And then, you know, with Bafana, maybe I understand. There's like lack of strikers, you know, not enough defenders, whatever.
Right.
But with radio, I don't understand. Why are you not listening to Tux? Why are you not listening to Pelly? Why are you not listening to Rainbow? Why are you not listening to Energy FM? Why are you not listening to community radio to find the best in that and lift them up? Why are you all looking for the people
on Explore,
or on Instagram or in Rosebank or wherever you're finding them? Like there's a whole country. So I worked, for example, in a community station that was called Voice of Soweto, which had young people from across Gauteng. So I don't understand this concept of like, because for me, Soweto is a state of mind, is not location. You know, so it's about youthfulness and youth energy, and they came from different places. And literally, others wanted to come on, who couldn't come on. Like Fejo wanted to come on Voice of Soweto, sorry, there was no space for him. Fresh wanted to come on, sorry, no space for him, because there was enough talent covering. And then thank God, YFM came in 2 years or so, and then that talent could be explored anyway. But it means that Tabi Sokotani was there. You know what I mean? Like everyone who was on point. Everyone was on point. So you couldn't be, it's, you know, you couldn't be wishy-washy. My kids are calling me.
Your kids are calling you.
Yeah.
Mom duties.
Yeah, so wait, carry on.
I mean, you can chat.
Okay,
I can chat.
I wanted to say, like, you're quite vocal on things, right? And we know that brands and stations and media houses, etc., super sensitive of that. Like, have you lost bags? And aren't you scared of losing bags on account of being so vocal on things that are important to you?
The only bags I have are my handbag that I collect. I like buying basket bags. I like buying handbags. I like going to, you know, those women who make bags on the streets. I buy those. And then I like going to secondhand shops and I buy bags.
Shopping bags,
plastic bags. I don't live for bags. And I've been on radio before the concept of collecting bags. I didn't get on radio for bags. I got on radio for impact. I got on radio to have conversations. And I don't work for brands. It's nice. Actually, they should give me money, and they probably are going to. But I worked with South African depression and anxiety. I worked with Love Life. I've worked with Global Citizen. I've worked with social impact organizations from day one.
Right.
And I worked with like people who started SA Fashion Week. You know, I worked with people who started the South African Music Awards. I've worked with things that I can show you that they live here. Bags, you buy other bags and buy sunglasses and you buy bags, but I don't remember what you stand for. Like, I have always been that kind of person. So it's a little bit too late for me to buy into the concept of, oh, I can't do that or say that because I'm afraid of bags, of using bags. I don't have those kind of bags to worry about that. You know what I mean? I worked, got paid, looked after my family, work again, get paid, looked after my family, work again, get paid, look after my family.
30 years later, you're still doing it.
Yeah.
How have you maintained like relevance, number one, and how do you constantly reinvent yourself in an industry that's ever changing and rapidly so?
Because I've based my career on people and human beings and how they evolve, and being a South African. Like, when this country attained freedom, I was a young girl, a teenager. I got into media as a young woman. So I'm constantly growing, firstly with my own peers, but I'm also growing with the story of South Africa, and I'm committed to that. So I've never said, how am I going to remain relevant? So it's like, what makes South Africa tick right now? I'm interested in that. What are the issues that South Africa is dealing with? I'm interested in that. How do we expose South Africans to things? For example, the music industry, which you work in. I know that you're a kid, you're talented, you want to make it, you get into the music industry. What are the challenges? What are the issues? What are the opportunities? My job is to expose that through media. So I'm the kid where you can bump into me in Newtown and say, oh my God, I've got this song, it's so cool. You know, would you like to listen to it? I'm like, of course, I listen to it. And if it's great, then I rock up at the station. I met this kid today. Here's their song. I think it's cool.
And you really
So,
that
I produced for her, and she used to dump a lot of things like that.
I do that.
I do.
She just like, look at this kid, I don't know, and I'd be like...
So then I listen, in my naivete, I don't realize that, oh, when I do that, I take it to someone in music, they're thinking I'm taking Payola. I'm like, oh, is that what you guys do? No, I like the kids' music. Or I've gone to a club and I'm like, this kid is performing whatever. I'm like, Wena, what's your story? Do you have music? Are you recorded or whatever? Who's managing you? I'm like, oh, you must come on the show. That's how I did the hip-hop show. I literally was like, we need a hip-hop show. Metro, no, hip-hop is not going to work, blah, 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 blah. And then, I had done it at Voice, and I've seen it happen with Zach and them. I co-hosted a show with him at some point. And then I saw, what YFM was doing with it, with Mosquito and Root Boy. And then I was like, oh, that's what they're doing. We've done this better. And we can even do this better because, one, they're a regional station. I'm on a national station. And I knew that kids in Polokwane don't know what's popping in Joburg. Kids in Durban. When I went to Durban, I went to the Pet Center. When I was in Pretoria, I was at Semi-Max Square. So I knew what the kids were doing. So no one was telling me what the kids are doing. I knew what the kids were doing. So I'll go to those places. So when I get back in studio, or if I went to Durban, I go to the Best Center and I'm like, this is who I met, this is who I saw, we gotta put them on. And it'll be like, where do you find these people? So same thing with the hip hop show. I conceptualized it like that. I was like, we're going to have an unplugged session, and I said, Zach, are you gonna come in? You will be in the streets for me. They found me people who are making beats. They found me producers. And then all they had to do is bring me the audio, and I play it on air. And they used to say, yo, Penny, these people of yours buy a rasa. And then, meanwhile, I can imagine from the bedroom. Imagine pitch black afro rapping on the, and then they're like, Penny Lebyane buy a rasa. And then before you know it, music
It's
executives
that's the next
music
star.
is the next
wave.
Yes, right.
So music executives are listening, and then they sign them on. So unsigned, and then people will say to me, how could you do that? So did you benefit from any of those people? Nope. I had an unsigned top 10. We would either have a beat, we would have someone rapping and whatever, and put that. So I didn't sign anyone. If I started a record company, then maybe I'll be so
you would have been.
I used to say.
Which are some of the talents that came out of the show? You mentioned Pitch Black. Oh wow.
Pro Kid. There was a guy called Dope who used to make beats. Guys, Dome used to make beats. Some producers, like some of the rap kids who were like underground producers. I mean, if anything else, it inspired Gala to sign Squatter Camp and other people. So it inspired music executives to go into the boardroom and make some tough decisions. And then they signed people like Pro Verb, Pro Kid, all of that after that. So what it did, it radio helped to force record companies to mainstream hip hop. I don't know if that makes sense.
Right.
Because it's not that hip hop didn't exist then. It existed, but they were not giving. So the minute it got on, the minute Metro, I remember Leo saying, "Yo, Penny, yo." But also, see, remember, I had worked with Leo at Voice, and then he had worked at Y. So by the time he got to Metro, he knew like what this thing can do, and this was like 7 years later. After, so it kind of like took off in that way, but it mainstreamed it by having it on a national platform, and then kids from Durban and elsewhere they came. Oh, Zakwe came through. Oh, Zulu Boy came through, and then I mean we're here now.
What do you think of?
And then 5FM after that, then had a hip hop show. You know, everybody now realizes.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
remember,
every radio station.
I know you want to like unpack your story. We have limited time. We still have 10 more questions that we'd like to ask.
Yeah, I want to ask
So
about
please, yes.
social media, like versus all that. So like, you know, you had radio, that was the platform. What do you think of the likes of TikTok and Instagram and artists being discovered and using that as a platform of discovery?
So radio for me is the original social media. Like every aspect of social media without picture didn't exist on radio, because if it's sound, it is. If something is popular, we talk about it. And obviously now with Convergence Media, you can be a radio station where you have all those elements. Social media is a big catalyst, and it's an amplifier in so many ways. And I think for the kids now, also because a lot of people on radio got arrogant. Like I was telling you about how I would go to the clubs and whatever. I know a lot of people who were on radio who never went anywhere to discover any artists, but they were sitting there and saying, "Is this song hot?" And I'm like, "When? You don't even go out. How are you making a decision about an artist and you're not anywhere? You've never seen them in their comfort. You're like, who's this?" So some people on radio would rely on major record labels to say they want the artist to come fully packaged. So some of us lived for discovering the artist before they're packaged. Like they're raw, they're performing in Youve at Tando or some club, and then you watch their story like take off. You're like, I remember this kid. I saw them at a poetry session doing this. And it's not just rappers, it's like writers. I mean, I remember, meeting people who are like writers, doing their poetry sessions for the first time, because I'm a culture vulture like that. And it's the same thing. Like if I go to the theater, I see like an actress performing for the first time. Chigi, they're joining the biggest TV show, and I'm like, I remember you from your first production. And that's what a lot of stars, sort of like love. They love being believed in when nobody knows them. When they on the come up. So I've got a lot of relationships like that with a lot of creatives that I've seen them when nobody thought they have what it takes. So a lot of them will go, "Oh, you gave me my first interview," and I'm like, "Yeah, sure," because I thought you got what it takes. And then look at you now. So it's that kind of stuff.
Oh, you're such an angel.
Yeah.
Social media, we talk about, you said that it's done great. Yeah. But there's also a downside to social media. And I think you have been smack bang in the middle of that side as well, from a personal point of view. But I've had enough of radio and hip hop, because we said, again, we are asking the streets, the streets
on social media.
Caller number 100.
Caller number 100 wants to know.
Yeah.
You've had your fair share on socials of rants.
Yeah.
Of what I call cyberbullying. Well, maybe you might not think it's cyberbullying. I definitely do think. I think any opportunity you have on social media to make someone feel like shit.
Yeah.
Is bullying.
Yeah, it is.
And you never fold.
No.
You never ever fold. No. But I'm interested to know, because when I'm sitting and I'm reading it, I'm distraught on your behalf.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
Right? And I'm like, I would never go back, or I cannot. How do you deal with the mean and cattiness that comes from people who don't even know you. You know, it's another thing for a celebrity to be mean to another celebrity, right? But for someone who's sitting at home, they don't have the cluest wink of what you have to go through on a daily J.
There's a truck delivering something outside. So what do we do, guys? Do I answer that? Is it delivery time? Okay. Look, I can talk on top of it. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't mind. So, you know, I am blessed to have had an identity and shape my story before the existence of social media. My being Penny doesn't start with social media, and if tomorrow they shut down everything, I believe I'll still have an identity that exists, and I'll do what I do with the same passion. So I know what it is like to start on a community radio in a small Joburg. Nobody knows who you are, but you're making enough noise for people outside of Joburg to be interested in you. Like, for example, I got in my first magazine article working for Voice of Soweto. I mean, I was shot up. We were these girls on a cover of Dram, like on the corner, like, look at these girls, they're like the next best thing on radio. I was not even on national radio at the time, so I was making headlines before I got on national platform. So by the time I get to the SABC, I've already built a rapport with people in magazines and record companies, that kind of thing. I'm literally a breakthrough star. And my attitude with social media has always been that. There's a few people in my life on radio that I worked with who I taught how to get on Twitter. You know, I remember getting on Twitter for the first time at work, and people were like, what is this Twitter thing? And I'd be like, you'll catch up. This is what it is. And helping, you know, some of my colleagues and other people to set up their pages or whatever. And I treat it like that. I treat it like any other platform. I treat it like, when I'm on radio, these are what my responsibilities are. And then when I'm on Twitter, this is what one, I love engaging with people, and two, I love schooling people, and three, I like to tell people that I know what I'm talking about, and I've been in this game for as long as I have. And maybe somebody said to me, you know, sometimes when you tweet and you say things, people like to attack you, thinking like you shouldn't say that. And I'm like, I think they think I need their permission. I actually don't. And I think part of the problem is I've been too nice. I'm not arrogant about my position. Like, if I was an arrogant, angry, bitter black woman, I'll probably be one of the best, angriest, bitter women in the industry, because I can tell anyone off based on facts. But I don't, because it's not my brand. It's not how I operate. And yes, there's moments where things get heated, but also I know different, like, people who are in industry who might have an exchange with me about certain things. I look at where they're coming from at that particular time. Like, and I don't like to say, you're talking to me like that because you have anger X with so and so.
Yes.
I don't like saying. I don't like revealing people's things unnecessarily. I've written, like, for a newspaper where I wrote social columns where I can do tongue-in-cheek conversation without degrading anyone, because I can talk about you being in a slanderous relationship without saying that you're. You know, I've learned the art of doing that on radio and television. It's a skill.
But that's exactly the issue why I'm saying you maintain clean,
Yeah.
but it doesn't stop the next
Next person,
person
from
going
below.
lower.
Yeah.
And how does that not affect you? Because at the end of the day, you're human.
Because
there must be that one tweet that you went home and you said, you know what, today I didn't do eyeball.
No. So this is what I do. When I'm under attack, I call myself Grace under pressure. When I'm under attack, I go breathe like a, you know that thing. It's not a, what is it? You know that monster that goes.
Okay.
Yeah, a dragon. So I go. Breathe. When you normally you would see when I got on Twitter, I say I have time. Yes, I always say that I have time. It means I've taken time to process what I'm going to do.
Okay.
Yeah. So, because initially I used to just respond and not care. And everybody said, no, but Penny, you shouldn't do this and whatever. I said, no, but you guys, you're allowing people to just walk all over you because you don't want to engage. So I said, okay, I'm going to let them do whatever they want to do. When I come back, I'm going to come with facts, and I'm going to stick to the facts. Because when they start saying, hey, your ex, hey, your children, hey, you're this, and I'm like, no, we were talking about a white cup written in red. Now you're trying to digress and say this cup is white, and that's not the issue. And then they'll throw, because also I realize as well as Twitter grows, because that's probably the place where there's very muddy, is that different people come in, and people who might not have context and background. And also I think I don't get into a lot of exchange with people in the industry because a lot of people in the industry know me. They know my capabilities. So sometimes they just watch and they don't say anything, and then they say, "Hey, I saw you," and then I'm like, so I used to think, is there no one in this Twitter thing who know this fact? Why are they not backing up? No. So I realized,
but I don't think they don't know the facts.
Yeah, I realized that people don't know. They're scared.
They don't want to get dragged. They don't want to get dragged. Trend. And if they're going to trend,
I think the thing about it is you have to be really sure of self. And when you were talking earlier on, I realized you basically were saying there's a difference between what I do and who I am.
Yes.
And so a lot of people come into the industry and don't know who
they are.
Yeah. Yes.
And so what they do drives it.
them.
And that's why it will. So if you know who you are and you get involved in these sorts of things, it's not.
So one of the things that also I think I learned from Oprah. Oprah said, you see, and I'm paraphrasing, the person they're talking about on the National Enquirer on page 3, that's who they think they know. That's not me.
Okay.
So they're speculating about all sorts of things and they come up with all sorts of things. So when I talk, I'm only going to talk facts. And it's also the same way, like, if I'm going to do an interview, like, you know, we used to do magazine covers. I mean, I don't know if it's like... So once I got to understand that when I'm getting an interview or a cover with a magazine, it depends on what's going on. If I'm doing a big production and whatever, a show, they're interested in the big production, and then they're going to throw in other things in my life that might have been happening and make that. So let's say they get 50% of that because 50-60% they approach me. One, it's work, I have to do it, I don't have a choice. Secondly, they're going to throw in, so you have a child, whatever. That fills up, you know, and then out of that, maybe I might want to talk about 10% of that, whatever. So that's already 60%. And then I'm like, what am I going to do with the rest of the 40% of this conversation? I'm going to talk about the things I want to talk about.
Yeah.
So, and I accept that because that's them, because of the production.
Yes.
But now, if I'm deciding I want to be on the cover of a magazine, which I've done a couple of times, I'm like, hello, I think I should be on the cover of September because this Heritage Month I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Best believe that 70% of that conversation is going to be what I want to talk about. The 30%, they must go figure what they want to talk about. They might say, we want to talk about this, and then I'm like, am I willing to butter that? I'll butter. So, and I'm grateful because I've worked in a newspaper newsroom. I've worked in a television newsroom, and I've studied PR and all of those things. And then I apply all of that to help me navigate. So that's why I've struggled with having like a full-on manager and say, this is what we're going to make you. Be afraid of losing the bag. You know, be afraid. And then I'm just like, then where's
I
Penny?
have seen you in a situation where you do have a team, and even then
they're helpless.
Surrender.
Kubi. I was sitting drinking wine and I was watching them and I'm like, they're in a meeting.
Yeah.
They haven't said a single word. And I had known the night before that they didn't just have a single word, they had pages, of pictures. And she said, you are going to do this because this is what I want to buy, and you're going to do this because this and this. Oh, Kamu, what is the other thing that I had? And she's very hands-on, but she's also very hands-on with your kids.
Yeah, I'm a mom.
How is it being like a full-time mom, a single mom, and also juggling a career that is so demanding, right? Because also in your workspace, you have kids.
Yeah.
I was once one of your kids before my balls dropped.
And boy, did they drop.
All the way. You know, like you're very motherly. You're like a mom. You know, like just it's always so refreshing for me because sometimes like when I see you do like the crazy stuff, I'm like, oh gosh, the teenagers now. Does she know they are teenagers?
You know what's crazy? You bring this
and
up
then she does it with so much, and then she's like, those kids.
For me, a lot of people say, you know, in the industry, especially amongst females, there's beef and there's all this. But honestly, I've seen Penny in different interactions. Even early on, there's some girl who's just entering the industry who came by and she's like, I know Penny, and she's like a big sister to me and whatever. And I think, what drives that? You're literally a girl's girl. And I mean, and not actually just like a girl's girl, like even guys, like you're just so open.
She has mother energy.
It's mother energy.
She's a deputy mom to everyone.
It's everyone.
Guys, I got into this industry as a kid.
As
a kid. You gotta understand, I got into this industry as a kid, right? And I was dealing with a generation of women who had to be very tough. And because of the history, they were in this tough industry with tough men who were, patriarchs in some strange way. And I was a kid who didn't even understand that, I can grasp issues of like gender equality and all of that. Now I can say, I understood gender dynamics. I just knew that I'm capable of doing similar work as the man. I should be treated with the same respect. And that my trajectory of my career, I should be given the same opportunities that men are given. I don't have to trade off myself or my personality to be something I'm not. And then also those women kept a lot of things to themselves, the harm that they might have experienced or whatever. And I got wind of certain things that were happening to certain people. And I was like, that will not happen to me. That's not going to happen. I'm not going to keep quiet if that happened. If someone says this to me, I'm definitely going to make the loudest noise on top of the loudest whatever. If I talk about it in an interview, they will know. Even if I don't say their name, they'll know that I'm talking about them. I was that kind of a girl. And obviously, that's all good and well in my head when I say that. But what I don't know is that makes me a target, for me to be marginalized, blackballed, blocked in certain opportunities. But also, that doesn't mean that those women and those things that I talk about, they clap for me. Then I met Auntie Felicia, who came from America. Where in America,
another pixie girl, might I say. If you guys don't see where I'm going with this, then I don't know.
And then she says to me, my goodness, Penny, you're a breath of fresh air. This is so amazing. I'm like, I'm very affirmed by that. And then, and then I met someone like Gail Masondo. She used to work for Warner, by the way. She used to work with Take Six, and she lived in the best of entertainment in the US. And then she talks to me about all these things. And then I realized there's actually nothing wrong with me. So I'm going to stick to this. And then there was that whole thing of like, when you're entertainment, they make women compete against each other. Yeah. And I was like, I will never be part of that. Like, I was like, I'm not going to be the girl that threatens young girls. I'm not going to be the girl that competes with other girls. I'm going to be the girl that's going to talk truthfully, honestly, sincerely. And obviously that doesn't mean that it got reciprocated. It just meant that some people were like, what's wrong with this one? That's very awkward. But I had to stick to that because I had said to myself, I'm going to do this thing with love, and I'm going to walk with love. I'm going to give the best of myself. And I'm going to give people a voice and a chance that nobody gave to me. Not maybe because they didn't want to, because maybe they didn't have the opportunity to. And then,
do you know why we became close? What sold you to me? To touch on that, when we started working in that first week, you said to me, I'm going to be to you what they were not to me.
Oh, wow. And you know what?
We had known each other less than 5 days.
People.
Yeah, because
there are many people who have those.
Because when you're producing someone and you're working with you're working with Penny and you're a new kid and you're a producer, they're gonna make your life living hell. And sometimes intentionally, sometimes not. I mean, if we had this conversation, for example, with Tiamo tells everyone how I fired her. And then if you're gonna
all animals are equal by some,
and then also
more than others.
And also Tiamo's just being Tiamo, and then I'm sure she will be in a conversation with me where she'll repeat that. She was working with me, we were setting up my website and whatever. And then there's Mahotso, who I also worked with at Metro. And the circumstances that I meet them. And then there's Kuma. There's different people that I work with. There's Ndosh. And also, I watch how new people or younger people are treated by older people. I know to be young, and people saying, you're young, your opinions don't matter. So now that I am in a position of like that, I'm definitely not being that adult. Am I going to push you? Yes. Am I going to be hard to get the best out of you? Yes. Like Mahotso. I went at Mahotso and I were about music. Mahotso would, how much, when we were really gelling, Mahotso would be the first one to tell me when Mary J. Blige dropped a song or has a new hairstyle. That's how things became, because she knew the things that move me as my producer. So I become like that. Same thing with Kuma. So, and at first, they think I'm hard when I'm like, because I can't leave room for error. Because remember, I'm being marginalized in that space, and people want me to, because I'm the girl who goes to the club and
it's tougher for you.
Right.
If I'm telling the music compiler that this girl is going to be hot, and when you're telling me that they're not, guess what I'm waiting for? I'm waiting for them when they blow up. Like this. And I'm like, I told you that they're going to blow up. You better tell everyone I told you. and then they're not going to do it. Guess who's going to tell people I told them? Me. because this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, I'm playing this person, they're going to blow up. Everyone's like, oh, there she goes, dreams again. When they blow up, but guess, most importantly, let's say that other people didn't hear it. If it's your song, and you heard me saying that you're going to blow up, when you blow up, who are you going to call? You. Exactly.
Right. You get
so
exclusive.
I get exclusive.
Yeah.
So it was that kind of stuff. And somebody said, you know, it's like being a teen on a tightrope. It's like everybody's watching you, waiting for you to fall. And I didn't understand that concept. I didn't understand that people are actually watching you to see when you're gonna fall. So once I figured that out, I'm like, okay. Then I'm never announcing my next move. I'm always on the move, you know. And but more than anything else, I never wanted people to say I met Penny. What a horrible person.
Yes.
I really never wanted that. And then if I had met someone and I was not nice, I am so sorry.
I know the whole world. Nobody has ever said that. They tell me your booty is fat. They want to know how you keep it in check. You know? They want to know who you're dating, which we should wrap up with. We really need to wrap up on a nice note.
She hangs out around people. Can we talk about things on
They want to know what you're drinking because your skin, you know,
it's
that
water.
back ain't cracking for real.
No, that
as opposed to your peers. They want to know a lot.
Okay,
I want
to
to go back to what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Being basically a mother in industry.
Oh.
Did
So
that shape the way you mother your kids?
So
that's a great question.
So
welcome, broadcaster.
So I watched a lot of international women who were mothers, right? Like, for example, I made an example about Felicia. I was just always in awe of how Felicia uprooted her children's life and came to South Africa to contribute to building our country as a broadcaster. That fascinated me. She had 2 children. She came to South Africa with her girls and her husband.
Who else has 2 children?
Me. So she would be back and forth in Atlanta. Then I met Judy Nokwedi when I worked at Love Life, and Carolyn. Carolyn is like a film producer. And they used to walk around with their kids. Judy was so radical. She would sit in a meeting with like the Zulu king for Love Life as a CEO and breastfeed her child. And I used to go, that's what I'm going to do. And she'd be like, my child needs to breastfeed. What were you saying? And at the time, I think, I don't remember if President Begi was like the chair of Love Life or something, a patron or whatever. And I just was fascinated about how she's this powerful woman, but she's not allowing so she would take her kids everywhere. She'd take her son everywhere. She would take him everywhere. And I was like, when I have children, I'm going to take my kids with me everywhere. And it's also one of like, I was learning to DJ. I was going to be like a club DJ. And then I was like, what's going to happen when I have kids? And then I was like, no, I'm not doing this because I'm going to have to leave them, you know? And then I was like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to be, going to clubs and DJing and whatever. And then I was like, yeah, okay. I can always do it later in my life. And I'm probably going to do it now.
Probably
because my son is. Yeah.
Rumor is that you have been practicing.
Yeah,
is that just a rumor?
Yeah,
because
no,
I live in the rumor gutters.
No, I have. So I have been practicing, and my brother-in-law is one of the finest music DJs. He's part of popularizing DJ culture in Soweto. SOS band, DJ Mavosana. He was teaching me to play with vinyls. I used to go for classes. And the boys in my industry used to say, oh, yeah, you're going to take, the jobs for us when she starts learning how to play. And then I was like, oh, okay. So when I didn't pursue it, of course, a lot of people were very happy. But I featured female DJs on my shows, and things like that. Yeah. But nurturing, I was raised by my grandmother, and I'm a firstborn. So I've always been about, looking after others, sometimes at my own expense. So with my kids, because I was raised with my grandmother, I was very adamant that I don't want my mom to raise my kids. Yeah. I want to be full on with them. So if they said, Metro is going to Sun City, it's me and my children and the helper or my mother. If they're saying we're broadcasting in Devon from Friday, I'm like, I will arrive on Thursday with my children.
I mean, any of them interested in the arts?
We did Safters with the girl. We did Mercedes with the boy.
Are any of them artists? Or showing interest in
I think both my kids are artists in their own right. My son is.
You guys always say that also.
My son is like I think engineers are artists. My son is like an engineer.
That's what she meant.
And then my daughter, on the other hand, is a performing artist. Yeah, we all are creatives in one way or the other. That's what I believe. I believe maths is creativity. I mean, I don't know. That's just sounds too deep.
You know what I also think is creativity?
What?
Your dating life.
Why is this go? This is about my podcast. This is not about dating.
You said we could ask you anything, and I know that people want to know. What's Penny Lebyane's type? If you were to put it into 3 celebrities, give me 3 celebrity males. Because that way, I'm saying celebrities because then they can tell if they stand a chance or not.
Okay, we'll use Malik Yoba because that's the most recent one. He held my hand and looked in the eye when he spoke to me. That's the type of attention I want.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter what we were talking about. Even if we were talking about the weather, the guy was looking at me.
Okay. Look into her eyes when you chat her up in the streets.
Who is another one that I can use? The problem with locals, they're going to be sliding into my DMs.
Okay, go international
We're trying to find your type.
Yeah?
Because I also just want my DMs to calm down a little bit because some of the people that ask me for your number are not anywhere near where they should be if they're going to date you. So it's just to minus the
disqualify
yeah.
So,
filter.
and it's not based on looks, guys. I think
what is your type?
I love a supportive man like Jay-Z, guys. Jay-Z is a man who stands by his girl.
And he's
rich.
And he's
got money, and he's not stressed, and he's supportive. So I like that. I like men who believe in the women investing in their women. You know, Jay-Z would come there, and let me find another one. Let's see. I've given you 2. I like Asha because he keeps it sexy.
Okay, so he has to look into your eyes, so intimacy is big.
Yes.
Supportive, chelete, that's code for chelete.
Yeah.
And sexy.
Yeah,
so
that's
he must take care of his body.
themselves. Yeah.
So no bellies, no pot bellies here. Are you dating currently? How many are you dating?
I'm in love.
You're in love.
Yeah.
Not with God and
Please don't
yourself
say
and your
with the
kids.
God or your kids.
Or your craft.
Oh, I'm in love.
Okay.
You're in love.
Yeah.
How long?
How long?
I am in love.
You are in love.
Yeah.
Would you like to blow this gentleman a kiss? Because I'm sure he's going to see this if you are truly in love.
Thank you, baby.
This is how you know that you've got a roster because you don't want to give anything away.
Guys, you must understand.
So when the podcast comes out, there'll be like 5 people. Did you see like
guys, you must understand. This is how it works. It's like when you're like a national crush for like a long time,
Yes,
you can't break hearts.
Okay.
Fair.
Okay.
And also, the last time I declared a guy, he dated the whole city.
I think we need to wrap it up.
I don't even know if he dated the whole city. So I'm not declaring anybody because like a flame to a moth, it became a problem, and then
Actually, a flame to a moth.
That's more me. I am not in a relationship with Penny, but we're done.
then I was just like,
Penny, we're done.
Okay, let's close on. I think 2 things that.
can we talk about my podcast?
And we're also going to talk about the organization that I'm representing. See, guys, I do actually have a job, even though they don't want
Where
to
do you
mention
work?
it. Because don't talk about me, promoter.
She works
They're not
at
paying me.
she works at 9
They don't pay me.
You walk right into that one.
Wait.
Listen, you're sitting here and it's like I'm just.
No, we're gonna go into
wheel,
that.
you know?
No, you're not.
So I have to throw myself in there.
I gotta say.
We just spoke about you being a mother.
Okay, sorry. I just want to say I'm very proud of you. In the short years that I've known you, in how you've paced yourself in the city, in Joburg, in the entertainment industry, in how you don't succumb to anyone's noise and you just do you. Like you're acting, you're doing your influencing thing, you are producing on radio. At some point you moved to another city, you were in Rustenburg, and then you came back. Everyone's like, where's Kamo Penny? I'm like, Kamo is her own woman, and she can do what she wants. And I'm very proud of you.
I'm also so proud of myself.
Yeah, you should be. Yeah.
Industry mom.
And then, I'm big sister Nikki. I mean, she's 40, same age.
I am 40.
Are you really?
No, she's not.
All my life I have to try.
And then, Garth, So you, my music brother, and we collaborating on doing stuff. I love that. No more questions?
Last one for me. I have
we
one
should
more.
have shut it down
I have
after
one
we touched
I have
because
a last one.
if you have to sit here with Penny and ask her questions,
Last one.
she works
No,
in radio, she talks for a living.
no, last one though. I think this
And
is
what's up?
important because
Remember
you've done
that?
it all, right? When everything's kind of like said and done, you've done it all. What is actually the pinnacle for Penny? When do you look back and say, yes, this is it?
The end game. I came, I
This
saw, I
is the
conquered.
pinnacle. Like some people will say, I'm coming in, I want to win a Grammy, and then
It's a wrap.
it's a wrap. I don't need to do anything else.
Guys, I just feel like I've only begun, hey? I really do.
What
I
more?
feel like I feel like
What more's on the cards?
I feel like I've been part of like digging the foundation of laying this thing, and I think the foundation is now solid. People ask me, is there an industry? And I'm like, hey, you guys are not paying attention.
Right.
And I'm like, you're not paying attention. The South African entertainment industry is getting to a new level. And the new level is going to rely as well on that. This thing of people thinking they're doing things for the first time. Like, for example, the emergence of South African artists going global is not the first time.
Yeah.
Boom Shaka and them, we're going to London, Jonin and all of that. But it was 1994. Lucky Dube is an international superstar. Yuma Sikela, Mira Makeba, whatever. Behind me, as you can see, Ladies with Black Mama, these guys have conquered. So we are the heirs of the hard work that's been done. So of the legacy, those people have planted seeds. And I worry about how we take it for granted. How people think London is just responding to you because they're hearing piano for the first time. It's because we have a distinctive sound that is South African, that brings nostalgia in places. It's been
where
it's been before. We're not just human beings. We're carrying spirits and culture of our people. So when you go there, you need to go there with the understanding that you're representing people who went and who might have not been treated
Grammys,
who might have not been treated with the respect that they
Most
deserve.
Grammys on the continent, actually.
Not treated with the respect they deserve at the same time. So you need to straighten your back. And I remember when I went to LA, I spent 6 weeks in LA.
Flex.
Yeah, no, I did. I did the Grammys, I did the Oscars, I did Vibe, I did Beyonce's party, I did Jamie Foxx throwing a party for Jennifer Hudson, and it was Dreamgirls was coming out. I felt like I'm in a movie. And then I was like, is South Africa ready for this? It was 2006, 2007, and I felt like we're not ready. I went to New York Fashion Week, same thing. And then I was like, what is it that we're going to have to do? We're going to have to celebrate each other, support each other, stand together. I'm saddened, for example, that AKA is not here.
Yeah.
I'm saddened because that's one kid who knew what it is to get in and say, I'm South African. Because that's what you need. You need, so when I was in LA and I was on the red carpet, they would say, that girl from BET, that whoever, and that black girl from Africa. Because those were the publicists picking who to be interviewed. That's what I was doing. I was working with Colin Gale, who is now managing Tyler.
Yeah.
Do you realize Colin Gale was dreaming about producing a South African superstar in 2006. When did he do it? In 2024. So imagine if I was a puss when I met them then. You wouldn't talk to me now. Because life is about relationships and moments and meeting people and working with people. So those kind of things, I don't take them for granted. I really don't. MTV Base, when they came into this continent, I worked with them. I was the first employee of MTV Base, which is Paramount now. First one on the continent. When they said we hired someone in Africa, it was me before they hired in Nigeria. I don't flex about that, but I should. You know what? You might think my role was this small, but let me tell you how important it was. I went to squatter camp and said, give me a video. I went to Lebo Matosa. I said, meet these people. I did that. When the thing launched, I had run around the city collecting music videos, talking about the quality, whatever, and putting it out there. And I'm very proud of myself. I might not have been Sizwe, first MTV VJ, or Nomuzi Mabena, but don't underestimate my work. If you don't believe me, ask Alex Okosi, who's now at Google, who was at YouTube. And all of those are relationships that I have. And that's what we gotta realize, because like I was saying, when I was standing on that red carpet there in LA, I was not a girl from black girl from I was a black girl from Africa. You see how amplified I was? I was not representing what? A continent. I was not just she just works on some radio station, she does one show on Saturday. And I took that stuff seriously. I was like, yeah, I'm the girl from Africa, of course. This is what's going on in Africa. Yeah, you know what I mean? You know, Two-Face in Nigeria. Oh, yeah, praise, huh? I was like, on it. I was like, yeah, like you do that, yeah. Because that's what it is. So now is the time. Mom Hilda doesn't have the energy anymore. Antos might not have the energy anymore. Whoever. Who are the new? It's us!
Right.
It's us. We gotta carry the baton. We gotta build on it. And the world is waiting for us. But do we know our story when we go out there in the world? Or we're just saying, give me that penny, I'm the hot one. No, babe, we're all hot.
The podcast. Why now, and what can people expect?
Look, I think this podcast, firstly, it's a celebration of our 30 years of democracy and our pop culture. I mean film, I mean music, I mean fashion, I mean food, I mean personalities, I mean the story, I mean sports, I mean everything that makes us who we are. Hele Vietnam, wat ons Vietnam. This is what this podcast is. This is it. Do you know what I mean? Hele Vietnam.
Right.
So that's one. And secondly, I mean, there's lots of podcasts that are coming out of South Africa. But I just think we're not showing up in our glory in ourselves. I feel like Americans must rave about us. Nigerians must rave about us. Ghanaians, they must say, I want to be on that Penny podcast. And let me tell you, I've tested that when I worked at Massive. They would all walk up in SA, Swanky Jerry, I want to be interviewed by Penny.
I remember.
Yeah, they're okay.
Right.
They're okay. So I know what I'm talking about. So this podcast is that. Firstly, it's a showcase of what South Africa is, but it's also a celebration of what this continent is. But it's also to tell the world, don't mess with us. Because julle weet nie wat ons weet nie. Huh?
There's more to the story than what meets the eye.
Waar is sekel hier ek sê? Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's that. It's also so our music, our sports, our personalities. And it's not just, we're the descendants of Madiba, but we're also the descendant of Shadat Makleke and Walter Sisulu. And Mujaji! Yes! And Mashweshwe! Yes! Do you know what I mean? Those are our people. So, come on. The world. So we need to go. We need that. We need. Banyanan!
The bananas with the
real BBLs.
Good time to.
Like a flame. So I'm off. You know what I mean?
All I'm saying, if you guys want sports people, hit me up. I'm your girl.
Yeah. So that's why the podcast now, and I think no better yet, it's 2024. Everyone says this is our 1994. It is. We're starting it from the bottom.
Now we're
taking it to the top.
Okay, I think the crew is so tired.
Okay. But also my kids need to know what I do. My kids don't think I'm cool.
Your kids think you're cool, trust me.
No, they don't.
Your kids are my friends.
Okay, we've been recording for 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 43 seconds and counting. I think
that's good enough.
I think we're done.
On that note, it's a wrap.
On that note, please subscribe. PENNYONN below here. Follow me on all social media platforms.
Hi guys, welcome to my podcast.
Hi guys, welcome to my podcast. And I'm very funny. You can cast me in a comedy.